Hey, what's up, nerds? Paul Conti here with a topic of the week response. But this is a 2-for-1 sale. End of year 2-for-1 sale. Topic of the week response. Actually going to do the last two topics of the week. Looking back on favorite things from 2018 and what my plans for 2019 are. I think a lot of 2018 was a lot of me just getting deeper into the hobby in general and appreciating all of the different aspects of it. And there was definitely one real highlight for me that I felt really encapsulated what Warhammer seems to be all about for me in general. In terms of peak fun, it was game 5 of Du Bois GT. I know I've talked about this before, but it was in long streams, so I thought I would give a quick shout out on this game again for those who haven't heard it before. So playing Places of Arcane Power, and was at that point we were both 3-1 going into round 5. So it was a pretty decisive game for both of us in how we were going to place in the tournament. And I was up against a Blades of Khorne army that was using the Beasts of Chaos battalion. And so the majority of the army was, Gore and Bestigor backed up by I believe Gore Pilgrims. I believe he was running Gore Pilgrims as well. So he had, his Blood Secrator and all that buffing up all of... Actually, no, it was not Gore Pilgrims because he didn't have all the other units. But it was a Blood Secrator and the Slaughter Priests buffing up his Bestigor, running across the table and beating the ever-loving bejesus out of everything. The big play of that game was his Wrath of Khorne Bloodthirster getting into my Great Unclean One, who was, at the time of the beginning of this combat, was at full health. His Wrath of Khorne Bloodthirster rolled not just maximum damage, but maximum mortal wounds. He rolled 36 mortal wounds against me in that combat. It was totally unreal. It was crazy, insane odds of that happening. There was no chance that my Great Unclean One was going to survive that. My hope was that my Great Unclean One reflecting wounds back would kill the Bloodthirster as well. And then I might have actually had a chance at winning the game, despite probably still being tabled anyway, just on points. But didn't happen. Came pretty close. But there was a secondary trophy in that tournament that was... I forget the name of it. It was Khorne's Favor or something like that, where, each game we were tallying the number of units that died during the game. And the winner of the trophy would be the person who basically collected the most skulls throughout all of their games. And this is their own units dying and opponents' units dying included in that. So I just sort of said to my opponent, whose name is totally gone for some reason, and I apologize, I'm bad with names. It's just a thing. So no disrespect meant. But I just kind of said, you're obviously going to win this game. We have lots of time left. Why don't we go for getting as many dead units as we can in this game to see if we can rack up points for this? So we just played out the rest of the game. But he had substantial board advantage at that time, so he was basically like throwing combats, intentionally getting his units out of cohesion to blow up half of them, to just try and get as many dead units as possible. Because of the scenario, it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't distracting from point accumulation at that point. So it just turned into nonsensical fun until all of my units were gone. So it was a really awesome punctuation to the year of Warhammer in general. And it was just a lot of fun because we realized very quickly, like, we had an extraordinary, amazing event, unlikely event occur early in the game that was a huge deciding factor of how the game was going to go. The game was decided in like top of turn 2 or something like that. And we played it out in such a way that was just silly fun, embracing another part of the game, like one of the other goals that was in the tournament. And it was just so much fun. It was just a great time. It was the last round of the tournament. It was a great way to punctuate the end of it. I was still really happy with going 3-2. My opponent ended up going 4-1 and placing pretty well. Really awesome army on top of that. I really love the concept, and I think that's... I'm going to keep pushing on that's a good idea until more people do it, because I think... running a Khorne list with the Beasts of Chaos Battalion and lots of Bestigor is a really solid list, and I just haven't seen a lot of people run it yet. It's a lot of models. I mean, you probably have to paint up like at least like 90 models to really make that list work. Like, if you're a Khorne player already. If you're a Beastman player already, then you just need to get a handful of Khorne stuff. But I would love to see that list worked on and refined by a lot of people, because it's really good. And it's a really cool idea. So yeah, that was my high point for 2018. Like, that was just, like, peak fun. And, that whole weekend in general, like, that was a fantastic GT. We had a great time. But yeah, I think that was, like, the pinnacle of 2018 for me. It really, it just felt like everything that the game was supposed to be. For 2019, I'm kind of taking things in a completely different direction. I really want to up my painting game in general. I've already started working on that. I converted all of my paints over to dropper bottles. I started using a homemade wet palette. I thinned out my paints in the process of transferring them to dropper bottles. I'm planning on starting to branch out beyond Citadel paints, getting some better tools. In addition to that, I've started being a little bit more confident working with green stuff as well. I actually randomly found a sculpting tool, or something that I'm at least using as a sculpting tool, in my house. I think it may be an item that I'm accidentally stealing from my wife. I think it's like a cuticle shaping tool. But it works great for green stuff, let me tell you. Yeah, like, my goal for 2018 or for 2019 is really to um, focus on being a better painter, a better hobbyist, and just taking that part of things to the next level. I'm going to continue to do, Math Hammer and those sorts of things. I'm going to continue to try and up my game in various different ways, but my big emphasis is going to be on pushing the painting and other aspects of, like hobbying to the next level. And not just necessarily the next level. I want to, really just push myself this year to get as good as I can possibly get within a year, within 12 months. So that's going to mean spending more time painting, investing in some better tools, learning new techniques, and sort of as a side note of this as well is I really want to focus on really like one army as much as possible. I have really, really loved playing Nurgle. I really like painting Nurgle, and I am going to really continue with that and expand it out as much as I can. Now, I am currently at a shortage of unpainted Nurgle models. So part of this is probably going to have to be buying more models to paint. But I don't think quantity of models is really going to be the thing that I'm going for. It's going to be a lot of buying things and painting them to the highest level that I can. And trying to constantly push that highest level a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. I'm also going to go back through my Nurgle army. I realized that I can kind of go back through and retouch a lot of the models and bring them up to a little bit higher standard without totally repainting the model. That there a lot of the newer hobby techniques and painting techniques that I've been using are really just extensions. They're like another step past what I had already done. So it's like, oh, instead of the model being done, now it's just like 80% done. And getting it that next 20% to the next level. Yeah, so that's really my big goals for 2019. Going back through my Nurgle army, retouching things, picking up some new models, and expanding things. And in that, it's also going to be exploring more of the range of things available in Nurgle and really digging into what that army can do and thinking outside the box and playing some things that might not necessarily be optimal or generally thought of as optimal, and really taking the theory hammer and putting it on the table and seeing are these preconceived ideas that we have about certain things actually correct? And in doing so, painting some cool models in the process that wouldn't have already necessarily been picking up. So, yeah, it's going to be a good year. I am very optimistic hobby-wise on the new year. Also, just thinking New Year's resolutions in general. I definitely am going to do the cliche thing and, I really want to get healthy, lose weight this year. I definitely weigh a lot more than I'd like to. I have a daughter that's almost 4 now. And I definitely have trouble keeping up with her. Like, holy good God. And I have, another baby on the way in, May or June, end of May, beginning of June. And I just want to make sure that I am a good example for my kids, and I am, around for them and healthy for them as much as possible. I've had some health challenges in the past year, and basically all of the health challenges that I have had will be better with weight loss. So if I can slim down and get healthier, in terms of, what I'm eating and exercising and all of those sorts of things, that will help with some of the other health challenges that I have, hopefully. So I'm going to be, putting, really kind of putting it all out there, filling up my time as much as I can with things that are valuable and meaningful. So, secondarily, it's going to be a lot more putting the cell phone away, putting the laptop away, and not doing mindless things with those. And really spending my time more constructively on, the things that are important. So, when you decide you want to do more in some area in your life, you have to figure out where you're going to give up. So I think using my time more effectively is going to be a real key thing to that. Because sleeping less for me is really not an option. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So some good hobby resolutions for 2019. Warhammer wise, 2018 was a really good year for me. It was one of the things in my year overall that was like the biggest highlight for me. I had a lot of fun with Warhammer. I really worked a lot on the hobby, the gaming. I do also want to get out to more big events. Unfortunately, probably not going to be making Triumph GT this year, just due to baby timing. Definitely planning on Du Bois GT in November, and I'm gonna see if I can make it to Nova this year. Other than that, early year is not looking that good, and early summer is going to be a challenge because there's going to be a new baby in the house. So later in the year is looking good. So I'll have some time in between to really up my hobby game, try and get out to my local game store more, and actually get games in with people. And one of the other things that I definitely want to do this year is for Du Bois in November. One of the things that they do for that tournament is to help with getting enough terrain and tables for the tournament. They have a best table contest. People bring in a table of terrain and they give out a prize for the best one, as voted by the tournament attendees. So I want to do at least one. I have an idea for 2 different ones. I'm going to be partnering with Des on that, so it'll be like a Radio Free Hammer Hall project, not just a me project. I have some other ideas for the channel and the Radio Free Hammer Hall concept in general that I'm not quite ready to roll out just yet. But there's some ideas in the works. Anyway, I think I've babbled long enough for now. 2018 was a really good year for me in the hobby in general. It was a challenging year for me personally, and the hobby really helped out a lot for me in that way. 2019, I am really looking to up the game in general. That You know, it's, I think, just about raising the bar for a lot of things in my life. Um, you know, in particular in this context, raising the bar on painting and hobbying. Um, so look out for more of that. I'm actually going to be probably posting a lot more in Facebook groups and Twitter of work in progress and all of that on what I'm working on. Well, I say I just wrapped it up, but I'm still kind of like looking at. I'm not totally happy with the base yet on my Bloab Rot Spawn, so I'm before I'm calling him done, I want to sit and look at the model more, think a little bit more, and see what. The base feels like it's just too bland. Like it needs more. So I'm gonna figure that out, and but that should be getting called complete soon. Um, anyway, I will see all of you later on, and hope everybody had a great 2018 and a better 2019. See you all later.